I'm an artist and a facilitator, so it only feels natural for me to ask you to do an activity. I'm going to need you to trust me so that I can take you on a little journey. If you feel comfortable to do so, please can you close your eyes? Keep them closed for me. And all I want you to do is imagine a family. Really picture them there. Who's there? Who are the people in this family? What do they look like? What clothes are they wearing? How are they interacting? Do they look happy? And where are they? Are you picturing them outside in public in this moment? And if so, is there anybody walking past wondering how they're all related? You can open your eyes now. Thank you. On the screen is a stock photo family, and I'm assuming that this is what most of you were imagining. Dad, mom, 2 children, and they look happy enough. They look like they were designed to fit together as one unit. But this is my family. I have a mom and a dad who I'm really close to. I have a brother and a sister, both older than me. So, who's that? At age 11, my mum sat me down to tell me that she was in a new relationship. Mum and dad hadn't been together for a while at this point, so I guess I thought this was inevitable. What I hadn't expected was that my mum's new partner would be a woman, and that now, at age 11, a whole world of inequality and homophobia would be directed at me and my family. That every time we went out together, I knew there would be people looking at us, wondering how we're all related. At school, I'd hear homophobic insults thrown around like tennis balls. Each time, they'd land into my sense of self with a thud, denting my identity. I didn't know how to find myself in the maze of belonging to an unconventional family. All I could see were judgments and otherings, and this didn't only come from the students. It was 5 years before I ever told anybody that my mum was in a same-sex relationship. And I just want to shout out that the friends that when I did tell them, treated me exactly the same and have supported me ever since. They'd known the whole time anyway. But every Monday morning came the same routine of lying about what I did at the weekend. Yeah, I just didn't really get up to much. I went to stay with my dad. My mum's friend visited. In reality, I was being loved and cared for by all 3 of my parents. They were teaching me about the world and building the values in me that I still carry today. But I'd created a web of lies that often got tangled and confused. I was desperate to be anything but the girl with 2 mums. I wanted to be judged for who I was and not who my parents are. And maybe we all feel some sense of not wanting to be judged on the families that we're born into, and we definitely all keep some family secrets. But what does it mean when the heart of who you are as a person is being called into question? When your very existence is being called unnatural, damaging, and disgusting? I can probably count on one hand the times I've seen this part of my life represented in the media. But every day for a month in 2019, I watched as a school in the city that I work in had parents protesting the No Outsiders programme. A school in Birmingham began teaching the No Outsiders programme to open up conversations about inclusivity and equality. This included using a storybook about a family of penguins with 2 male parents, almost like mine. A group of parents found out about the programme and in outrage began a protest. They removed their children from the school, halted their education and harassed the staff. It wasn't long before this became a national news story, with some of the biggest platforms giving airtime to the protesters. Myself and other people with LGBTQ+ parents had to sit by and listen to those protesters tell the world that they didn't want their children to know that we existed. We sat by knowing that there might be children in that school with queer parents like ours, fearful that every time they walked into the school gates, their parents would be villainised. It felt like my experience at school and my childhood thoughts were playing out in real time and on national news. I'm now 25. I work as an artist and a facilitator. I work with young people every day, and I used to go into schools to teach a couple times a month. Every time I did, I can guarantee I'd feel those tennis balls thud against my identity again. Each morning, I'd brace myself for it, do up my armour, and use my creativity as a racket to bat them away. It still hurts, but I've never been more proud of my story. I remember the one time listening to a student on one side of the room tell his friend that if he was ever Prime Minister, then he'd ban gay people, whilst on the other side of the room being told by a student that he was scared to come out to his family and friends. I'd see myself in those classrooms every time I'm there, and yet I've never heard a student openly admit that any of their family are queer. And now, maybe it's because of my age, but I'm noticing that my friends are beginning to talk about becoming parents. And yet nothing sticks out in my head more than the time a friend asked me that she just wanted to know how to love her children in a world that hated the way she loves. What she meant was, how can she consciously bring a child into a world that's homophobic? I'm watching as people that I know have more love to give than most question whether they could successfully raise children. For queer people, parenting isn't just a decision of yes or no, but a continuous cycle of questions and considerations. How can I ensure that my child will be brave enough? Will people always wonder how we're all related? Will there be enough people to support my child? And what will happen to them? What will happen to the children who have to hide their family lives, who have to tell lies to fit in, and who have to watch their existence being protested? So, how do we delete the current outdated and oppressive ideas about what a family should be? We can start by reading the storybook about two male penguins raising their chick to our children. And in the same way that conversations about queerness in all its forms are opening up, we can bring those conversations into our schools, our homes, and our communities. Queer people have been choosing their own families for years, and it's time that we started to choose them. The dictionary tells us that a family is two parents and their children living together as one unit. In reality, it's a group of people with a shared connection to place, people, and past. And the dictionary also tells us that a community is a group of people with a shared connection to place, people, and past. Family and community are one and the same. A group of people whose lives are intrinsically linked. Their connections are woven together to create a net of commonality. A net that should be making our children feel safe and loved. And yet, they're slipping through. We have to start treating our communities like they are family, and recognise that the role of raising children belongs to us all. The No Outsiders protesters shouted, "Let kids be kids." So let kids like me be kids, by allowing them to grow up in a world where they don't have to carry the burden and fear of being othered. Let kids be kids of their communities. I'd like to ask you to close your eyes one last time. This time, I want you to imagine your own family. Really picture them there. Maybe you can see your parents, your siblings, even your own children. But I also want you to imagine all of the people that have ever had an impact on your life. It might be a teacher, a friend, or someone you've only ever spoken to online. But they've taught you about the world and helped you build the values that you carry today. That's family. I want you to know that this matters, that we matter, and that my family matters, and that the world, it's a family matter. Thank you.